Hi, Felix. Good to have you today on Cards Against Complexity.
Hello, and thanks for having me.
Really excited for this conversation. We met a few weeks ago in person at a conference, CX Festival, and now we're back in here in the digital setting. We wanted to talk about your experience at Staffbase, about support, all things CSAT, and many other things today. But before we do that, maybe can you give us a quick intro? What brought you into customer service, and maybe specifically also customer service at Staffbase?
Yes, absolutely. So it all started basically with playing video games. So quite a different thing than support if you think about it. But actually, when you're playing video games, there's always something which doesn't work. So you have to reach out to
Mhm.
a support team for in that gaming area, and there's like one common theme across like the gaming industry and the support teams is that they are not good. It's like oftentimes it's slow, the answers are not helpful, and um, you're not really, you don't really feel like you're being helped. And that experience, alongside with just joining Staffbase, um, basically brought me into the support sphere because joining Staffbase, our CEO Martin gave me the chance by handing over Zendesk to me
Mhm.
and telling me, "Hey, Felix, you're the administrator now. Please don't break anything." So I had the chance to do something, and I had the experience of like what I don't like in support. And I took the chance and tried out a few things, also which didn't work out oftentimes, but a lot of things worked out, and that basically brought me into support.
Very exciting, and especially this kind of journey of here are our customers. Like there's ultimately not something bigger you can do as a founder. Myself, getting the feeling of Felix, here are my customers. Can you my right? Like it's a personal connection. Please work
It's
with them.
It's interesting because oftentimes, or back in the time, the newbie always got like Zendesk. You're the new one, so please
Mhm.
answer our support tickets. And back then, it was also treated like that. But I saw it as a chance to really build something big, and that's where we are at right now.
Really exciting. And I mean, at the same time, while you took over customer service, Staffbase also grew quite a lot as a team, as an organization, with the impact that you have with customers. So it must be exhilarating to be on that journey.
Yes, I've actually joined as employee number 30. Right now we are around like 800,
Mhm.
850 people. And the support team from being the first one, now we are around like 35, 40 people in the support team. So everything developed quite quickly here.
Would love to dive a bit deeper, and we'll do that in a second. Before we get there, we'll play a round of Cards Against Complexity, and everybody who's listening to this podcast regularly will already know what's coming up. But for everyone else who's maybe joining for the first time, quick introduction. So, Cards Against Complexity, concept very similar to Cards Against Humanity. The idea is I'll have a sentence here on the left, and Felix, you'll have to choose one of the three answers, which I'll open next. They're not a perfect fit, I would say, to the answer, but they probably might fit in some shape or form. Ready to get started?
Yes.
Okay, let's see what we have here. So your CSAT scores have hit an all-time low. Very frustrating. To boost customer satisfaction, you find three ingenious ways. You replace call on hold elevator music with some meditative chanting, gongs, some nice music. You offer plant a tree, and that's basically your option. Whenever there's a service outage, your support center plants a tree. Or you give customers a 5% discount just so that they rate their service experience a 5 or whichever score calculation you like to use.
Love it.
Which one would you choose?
Um, Probably the second one. So we actually get like a very rare big forest.
A very big forest, yeah, and the very big forest outside of those CSAT scores. Now, ideally, we never hit those all-time lows, and ideally, I mean, we would love to grow a forest, but ideally, we have happy customers, and maybe we can do other things there. So you've thought, I think, quite a bit about CSAT scores,
Yes.
and I think you've talked about that. You've probably written about it. You've built a team from scratch, basically, and CSAT is one of the key scores we look after. Can you tell us a bit more about how you're thinking about CSAT scores in your team at Staffbase?
Yes, definitely. And um, it's maybe to start with like one thing, the common thought is that CSAT is the main thing, but that's, in my opinion, the wrong approach to think about customer satisfaction, to think about like the outcome of the team, because it's what I just said. It's the outcome of the team, and CSAT is basically the result of a great team,
Mhm.
and that's what we also try to get into the minds of the people at Staffbase.
So CSAT as a score, you would suggest let's look at it, but let's look a bit deeper.
Yes. It's not just like 1 and 0. It's just like it's if you have a motivated team who who really loves to answer support requests to really or really loves to help people, the CSAT will be always great. If you have a product team which is customer centric, the CSAT will be always good. And so behind that number is just so much more, which is on the people side, in my opinion.
Let's dive into this because I mean, if if we ask any of the listeners, CSAT should be up, right? And
Yeah.
ideally without planting trees. Although we love to plant trees. So what's your way diving into the people side? Like, what have you seen work very well as you grew the team at Staffbase?
Typically, support roles are always seen as like that kind of entry level role where you get a
Hmm.
foot into the company and then eventually switch to marketing or sales or even customer success management. Um, we tried a different approach because in the end I love support and I want to work here for like my career. I don't want to switch to customer success management because like you get more money or you get more fame or whatsoever. And that's also the same what I see for the team, that
Hmm.
you need to build a way that people can actually stay in the support team for a very very long time and have their career there.
So support as a career for every individual on the team. So how do you think about that support career? Like let's say I'm starting out as a junior on your team. Like what's ahead of me?
So if you are starting as a junior, it's that typical entry level role that you will answer our first line tickets, that you will get. Basically, you will start in our tier one team, and you have the front line, or you build the front line towards the customer. But as you progress in the career, you will then move on to the tier two team or into the very technical tier three team. But in those two teams, you don't just answer tickets. You also have side projects which help to make our product better by
Hmm.
connecting with the product teams, by connecting with the sales teams, by connecting with marketing teams. You represent staff base at conferences. You are part of recruiting calls. So everything of that, which is typically a leader's job to just be there or another role, you can do that in the support team because you know best what our customers want.
And as I progress through that, so in the beginning, I mean, you've got an exciting customer base, right? I mean, like, who are you working with? Staffbase, I don't know what you can talk about, but it's big companies, it's big corporates. There, where if I'm in frontline support, I get quite a few exciting customers to work with. Um, uh, who am I exposed to? Like day one, or let's say week one, month one. Who am I talking to, and what is my experience like there?
So I believe the best example is DHL. They got hundreds of thousands of employees, in their Staffbase product, and they are reaching out to you to make their communication strategy much better. So they are not reaching out to you just because there's a bug or there's an issue, but they actively seek for advice to do something, to like have a strategy around like, hey, I want to communicate something. What are the best ways to do that? And your job as a customer care agent at Staffbase is not just to answer, yeah, that's possible or not, and
Mhm.
that's how you do it, but also to advise on the best ways how to do that.
Very exciting, and probably a lot to learn already on level one. And probably, I mean, this kind of communication that happens at the clients at this kind of scale, it's also one of those things where you can probably say one day, well, I was in there, I was really in
Yes.
there.
Yes.
Cool. And then you've got level two, level three. So as your team progresses, how do you think about developing them? Because I think as a manager, that's one of those critical moments, right? You have your day-to-day work, but then you've got these key points in the career of a person where you can help them make that next step. How do you do that?
So maybe first of all, um, also the level one or tier one team is a career opportunity. So I also want to have people in that team who are there for a long time, which are basically that like rock solid people who are there for like 4 years, 5 years,
Mhm.
and know everything around the processes. So that's maybe also one part. In like each of those teams, we have people there for years and years who are advising the new people, who are supporting them, who are onboarding them, and also share their knowledge across that. And then in that, like going further in that level two, level three teams, you take on special projects. So things like being part of the incident management, being part of product knowledge base enhancements, being part of Zendesk changes. So everything which is kind of not that just doing support tickets, but also helping us is included in that.
Cool. And let's see, like over time you build a team, right? Other people might be in a similar role to yours in other companies. If they would be starting out today, right? Imagine yourself a few years ago. What would be your advice for starting to build this from scratch? Because I'm sure, like on day one, you're at Zendesk, right? You had some responsibility on your shoulders and somebody saying go. What would be the advice to your younger self to then go, like to structure this and actually set this up from scratch?
I believe the most important point for me is, or the most important thing to tell to other people is to connect to each other.
Mhm.
So that support world is huge, and you got like a ton of people there to who are willing to share knowledge, who are really happy to connect. So try to go to like support driven and like find people, join meetups. Everybody is super helpful in sharing things, and that was also what helped me to not start from the scratch, but start from like knowledge of people who already did that, who have been in a similar situation. And then the second part would be probably try it out and listen to your customers. If things don't work, you can always react on that. Don't build like that fancy process which takes
Mhm.
ages, but build something which is there on the street really quick, which can be tested out. Make it based on numbers. So try to track everything which is possible, and then see, okay, it makes sense to change that, or it doesn't make sense to change that. So let's roll it back really quick.
So get started by connecting, learning from others, and then
Yes.
just get started. Really, don't overthink it too much. Get
Yes.
started. Um, Cool. And now you've been through this journey. You've got a larger team. You've got the whole career progression going. Any other recommendations? I always now start to ask for like a book recommendation, a specific next thing to do, something to subscribe to. What's yours?
So I'm not a big reader, and that's also the problem here. But I'm a conference person, and there's one big conference, the support-driven conference, which I would suggest everybody to like listen to, or go to if you have the chance. Listening to, so you can download the recordings from like the last years, and going to. We actually start that in Germany right now with our first meetup in November, and then we want to have like 2 months, one meetup, and try to connect the German or German speaking support industry.
Very, very, very exciting. When is it in November? Do you have a date already?
That's a good question. It's like mid of November, but we can
We'll
share.
we'll add the date and the link to the comments below. So for anyone ready to sign up based on this, there's going to be the support-driven event, and the German community, support-driven community, will get started in a few weeks' time. Felix, thank you so much for your insights. Very, very helpful. Very exciting to actually see your journey out of gaming. And I would have loved to, by the way, dive deeper into gaming. It's one of the things that brought me to where I'm here today. But that's a different discussion for another day. From gaming to Staffbase to support, from getting Zendesk on day one to a growing team and a growing organization, building, I guess, the foundation of CSAT, which is the team and the career progression, the development of the team, development of individuals, all supported by connecting with other practitioners. And I think that's also what we are thinking about here, and trying to do connect people, let them learn from each other. Thank you so much for your insights here. I'm sure it will help others, and already excited for what's to come with support driven in Germany. Then I'm sure this is helpful for many people around.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, and let's have a exciting November and an exciting conference in a few weeks.
Yes.
Bye, Felix.
Bye.